I gotta say, I have
Oh,
to
right.
my
I forgot that show came out this weekend.
well, that's the thing. It came out, and I have to make a statement here. I have been saying since last year, and include the beginning of this year, that this was going to do terribly based upon the information we had.
Yeah.
We and you guys can back me up on this. We'd have to go back and find the old streams. But whenever we talked about this, we brought up the articles, the information that the people making this movie said it's going to be different. We're going to change some things, especially the story. It's not going to be the same. And then the trailer started coming out, and we said, well, wait a minute. They're showing shot for shot classic moments from the animated movie. What's going on here? But then are they going to actually show? It's just going to be a scene for scene, shot for shot re-release, remake? And I said, well, I think they're lying. I said, I think they're lying to us with the trailer. I think they're lying because they said it in these articles.
Yeah.
But here we are. And in the past several days, a lot of reliable people have seen this movie and said, with the exception of some extended scenes, it literally is a shot-for-shot remake. So I will eat a little bit of crow just because I said one thing. I think my reasons are legitimate, but this will be a success now. With a budget, I think around 150. I believe that was the budget. Doesn't say it here, but I believe it was around that. Actually, less than the animated movie, but that's apples and oranges. We could discuss that at a different point. At already nearly 200 million, maybe with adjusted, might break 200 million worldwide first weekend. This thing only needs about 450 to break even. And
yeah, so 165 is
165?
the budget.
Okay, so 165. So yeah, around 500. And it'll hit that in the next couple of weeks. So it'll make some profit. And it'll do well. It will not be the flop that I said it was going to be. But that begs the question as we go down and look at the actual numbers here in the box office. We have smattering of international. We don't have it all there, but it's been released. What's its release schedule? Actually, it was out earlier in some places than it was here.
Japan's not getting it for 2 months, 3 months.
Japan, they get weird release schedules. A lot of movies they get like 2-3 months later, and it's not a market. They don't care about opportunities.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think the important thing to note here is, yes, our prediction for this movie were wrong. I agreed with Adam and thought it would be kind of underwhelming at the box office, but we were working off of false information. The director lied. And so we had to make predictions based on the information at hand, and that information proved to be incorrect. I don't know why he would make that lie. I think Adam's correct that they changed their mind at one point during the production. There might have been reshoots, which would have ballooned the budget. But at this point, How to Train Your Dragon live action is going to be successful, I think. I don't see anything else.
Not $1 billion success.
Oh,
but
no. But it's going to make money.
650 maybe.
Yeah, I think 650 is a good projection at this point. And yeah, that's just the way it is. I can't imagine why the director would come out and say that unless things had changed.
Well,
what benefit is there to that?
You know what I think, Dre? I think Snow White changed the field on a lot of these things when that disaster happened. Yeah. People said, oh, shit, we've still got time. Let's take out all the shit that we added and re-edit this thing into just the same movie.
And I'm inclined to agree in that regard because, like you said, early on we got information that wasn't true, and let me say it like this: at one point, probably was true, but then they hit the remix button because I gotta give it is DreamWorks. I'm not tripping, right? It's DreamWorks.
Yeah, it's
right?
DreamWorks.
Yeah, DreamWorks has a reputation for making fun films. Like Shrek is like, one of the biggest joints of all time. Even like minor ones like Turbo and stuff. Like they've made stuff that made oogles of money. They took one look at what Big Daddy Disney was doing, and everybody knew it's over. It's over. If there was political agenda, whatever, finger blast, whatever it is that they were into, it's over. And I'm going to give them credit because I don't know, but I'm going to put based off of the preponderance of the evidence on the landscape, they did a course correction.
I agree that it's the only explanation.
Yeah. they did course correction, and they realized that they were going to be lambasted through, from what I understand, is a very much beloved franchise, very much
It
beloved
is.
franchise,
It's a
and
great franchise.
they
And
were
the
like,
original movie is
"Yo,
fantastic. It's a fantastic
yeah,
movie.
like let's reverse this." Like I said before, I've only seen the first one, and I thought the first one was solid enough and was decent. And it was really good, especially pretty, like some hard lessons for a quote unquote kids movie,
Hmm.
about consequences, even for heroics, which I thought was a very good lesson. The villain didn't make sense to me, but it's a beloved franchise, and I think they realized that they were going to screw up. And I think some exec that likes Lamborghinis was
Hmm.
like, "Yo, y'all better, y'all better change this up because Daddy wants a new Lamborghini, and what y'all talking about is anti Lamborghini, and I can't have that." So I
And
mean, but good for them. Good for them.
yeah,
Great for them.
and there's a lot of goodwill in the movie because you got shit. I had his name and I just
Jared
lost.
Butler.
Gerard Butler's thing. Gerard Butler, he voiced Stoic in the animated stuff,
Yeah.
and they brought him back for the live action, and he was really into it. So he gave it his all. I've heard that one of the best things about the movie is Gerard Butler's performance as Stoic. So you get that in there, and I heard just about everybody else in the movie does a good job except for race swapped Astrid. Apparently, she's a plank of wood in the
Yeah,
movie. It's
apparently gave
terrible.
her a lot more scenes, gave her a lot more heroic moments, and it just doesn't make sense to me. But the problem I have is the Hiccup casting. Hiccup
Mhm,
is way too traditionally. He doesn't look like skin and bone like the
mhm.
original Hiccup is supposed to. So I don't buy him pretending that his sword is heavy and that Astrid is stronger than him. In the animated film, I could totally buy that
Yeah,
Astrid is stronger than him and able to do the feats of strength that she's able to do. In
yeah.
this, he looks like he's strong. He's got a sharp jawline. He looks like he could spend 2 months at a gym and get jacked.
Mhm.
Hiccup shouldn't look like he has the potential to be jacked in a couple months.
Yeah.
So I have a bigger problem with the Hiccup. But yeah, the Astrid stuff, a lot of people saying she was boring. She was race swap. There was also the other race swap that from Deadpool 2, the kid from Deadpool 2 was in it, and they made one of the
Yeah.
twins a fat bitch.
And they made them
So
gingers, which I think you should feel offended by.
I do feel offended by that. And from what I heard as well, Nick Frost was in the movie playing how do you
Gobber.
Gobber, and apparently he phoned it in,
I
is what
heard that
I've
too.
heard. Is that yeah, he's just very bland. All of Gobber's lines are really funny and endearing. Apparently, it's the same lines, just yeah, change all of you. And
Here's
it just it feels soulless, is what I've heard. Is
so
it's the same movie with no soul.
and so
Mm.
we asked the question. One of Dre's favorite lines: does this thing deserve its existence?
No,
And
sorry.
I personally don't think so. People may be enjoying it and say it's not terrible. And if they're going to do remakes, it should be that. And I've even heard the phrase that it gives people who don't want to watch animated stuff a way to watch something, which boggles my mind. I don't know why people are so against animation. I've never understood that. Like, oh,
I
it's for
think it's
kids.
just a stereotype. It's just a stereotype because
Mhm.
like cartoons are looked at as kid stuff, and that's
Mhm.
just a stereotype that's been around for decades and decades and
I've never
decades.
understood it. Maybe it's because
Yeah, I never understood it either. I
yeah,
never
Well,
understood it
it's
either,
the
yeah.
but it is what it is.
Well, it's also that, but a lot of people see the animation as non-legitimate. Like the director came out and said, "We looked at the original animation as a test screening of this. It's the tech demo of the story, and we're doing the real thing." And
But you
that's the
made
perspective.
That's such bullshit because they made 2 more movies and 3 television series all wound into it. So much so that they are probably going to make the sequel. This is going to get this. They're going to make the second one no problem, and they're
And Kate
probably going to
Blanchett's already
and they're
rumored to.
going to get Kate Blanchett, who voiced Stoic's ex-wife and Hiccup's mom. So that will put people will want to see Gerard Butler and Kate Blanchett on screen together in those roles. They'll want to see it, especially because the emotional impacts of what goes on in the second movie. So it has done well. I'm glad they didn't butcher it. Lost wife, ex-wife. I mean, she didn't die. She left him secretly.
I don't know if this is controversial or not, but I would not have forgiven her that easily. She did bad
She
when she
bailed.
left.
She bailed
That was
for her
a
greater
fucked up thing to do.
for her greater calling. That she put it. And if you watch if you watch the movies and the TV shows in proper order, she does make an appearance the final episode of the show that takes place before the second movie to tie into all that. And if you know. But they're going to make all 3 movies in live action now. They're going to. It's a given. Because this is a success and it will make its money. And that's all they're going to need to greenlight it. But to borrow Dre's phrase, I don't think this earns its existence because the animated stuff is superior. It's just superior. And granted, the animated stuff is not pure. These are based on a series of books, and the books are drastically different than the movies. In the books, Hiccup has more than one dragon in the books. They all have more than one dragon that they use. And a lot of other different things happen. Things don't play out the same way. So the movies are not lore accurate to the books, but they did justify their existence by being made with passion, heart, and soul, and becoming beloved, and spawning successful television shows that aired on Cartoon Network, which were hysterical. The comedy in those shows, I remember when I got back from China and I was laid up for that year and a half or so, I was watching anything I could. The 3rd movie had come out during that period of time, and I hadn't seen it yet. So I thought, you know what I'm going to do? I didn't really, at the time, give the TV shows a chance. I'm going to watch everything in chronological order. I'm going to watch it all. The first movie, the first TV show, the second TV show, the second movie, then the third TV show, and then the third movie. I watched everything. It took me like a week and a half, 2 weeks, I think, to get through it all. And it was great. And when you get to the third one, and they're using all the same voice actors mostly and everything, it was great. The comedy that they wrote, I'm crying so hard at the time I was laughing. Maybe I was retarded. I don't know. But it was funny. It was a good time. It was made with passion and enjoyment. And I don't know how you can replicate that with just 3 live action movies that are carbon copies, essentially, especially if you're going to keep giving the role, if you're going to keep this little half-breed in charge of as Astrid in there. Because what's her name? Nicole, what's her name? She cannot act, from what I'm told. And also she's a bitch. Like right up before the premiere this last week, she's telling people, oh, I shouldn't be made to wear a wig. And if you don't like that, I don't care what you have to say, essentially. You can all shut up.
It was very aggressive.
Yeah, very aggressive. Very angry. But here we are. It's gonna be a thing. It's gonna do well. And good, fine. But
I think the most important thing about the discussion is what we were talking about a minute ago with the view that animation isn't legitimate. I believe adaptations should exist if they can give something significant to the story, like adapting something from a book to a movie. Obviously, you're getting a lot of value out of that transfer to see a physical representation of what the story is. Animation and film, they're so similar that you're not really gaining anything from going to one or the other. So no live action remakes should exist, in my opinion. I don't think any of them so far that I've seen, at least, have offered anything of value, of substance to these stories, because they're already a physical medium. Change it into a different medium, or change it into a TV show so that you can show the story in a broader way. I'm not happy with the Harry Potter TV show, but I'm glad that in principle, I would prefer it to be a TV show series rather than a movie series, because you have that time to give something new, to bring something to the table with an adaptation or a remake. We don't see that with any of these animated films. And I actually had the thought, since you mentioned it, that the books were very different. If I were told, hey, you have to make a How to Train Your Dragon live action, you don't have a choice, what are you going to do with it? I'd come out and say, all right, everyone, the original animated film is near perfect. It is beautiful. I can't touch that. I can't improve upon that story whatsoever. We're not touching it. What I'm going to do is try to adapt the original books and see if I can tell a different story. I'm not trying to be the animated film. I want to show the books as they can be represented in live action and be something so distinctly different. That's the only way that this could justify its existence, in my opinion. Whether or not it was a carbon copy or a complete bastardization, it shouldn't exist if it's adapting an animated film. But the books, that's a different story entirely.
Yeah, that's the rare opportunity. If there are source material that wasn't adapted the same, you have a chance to differentiate. You have a chance to separate and maybe make your own way where you're not going to be directly compared. And all I've heard in all the takes of people who see it and been talking about it on stream in the past 48 hours is it's this all we could do is compare it to the original. And in the end, those who have been watching the original for years have all said the original is better overall.
But then you have the only thing that's left is we need money. That's the only thing that it can be that can justify its existence is that we need money, and we know if we do a shot for shot, which okay, look, I'm a big proprietor of shot for shot. I know Jet isn't, but I'm a big proprietor for shot for shot remakes in different mediums. Like for instance, like when it comes to like comic book adaptations, I would kill just about every small lamb and sacrifice to any deity to just get the comic and put it in there, scene for scene, page for page, panel for panel, no changes. DC,
that's a big median change, though. I agree with you there. Comic books should be very accurate.
Yeah, for me, I believe the written word to the screen, in my opinion, written word to the screen, especially in comic books, take the page, put it up there, make no changes. And DC did that very well with a lot of their animated joints back in like the mid 2000s. They did a very good job with that.
Yes.
When it comes to something that's animated, like let's just like Train Your Dragon or whatever the case may be, I think it is beneficial to just do a shot for shot because I think that's the lesser of the two evils, in my opinion.
Agreed.
I think the lesser of the two evils. Because let's just say they don't do a shot for shot and then they change how a character acts or change how a character responds to certain things. We've seen this a bunch of times in Disney remakes. The Disney remakes, like first one that comes to my head is the Beauty and the Beast remake, which may be the sign of the Antichrist.
It was bad. It was terrible.
But you didn't like the Black Death being involved?
No, let alone their attempt to be my guest was an abomination.
Everything about that movie. Look, that's my 1A and 1B. 1A is Beauty and the Beast. 1B is Hunchback of Notre Dame. Those are my two favorite Disney movies of all time. And what they did to Beauty and the Beast was an abomination. And that's like the downside to the we're taking creative liberties. It's garbage every single time. So in my opinion, I think just doing it a shot for shot is just the best way to just do it. Because I would hate, like, once again, I'm not a fan of How to Train Your Dragon, but imagine they took Hiccup and he's no longer the timid, whatever, not sure of himself guy, but he's thinks he's cool, or maybe he's a jerk in modern stuff. He's a jerk and he's mean to everybody. And you'll be like, wait, this isn't how Hiccup acts. This isn't right. I'd rather it just be like, hey, we saw what worked 10, 15 years ago, and we're just hitting a replay button.
Yeah. It's definitely the lesser of two evils. I definitely agree with that. I still just don't know what it brings to the table, what it offers. But comic book to movie, that's a medium change. That's bringing a lot to the table. Shot for shot remake is definitely the great way to go for most of those. But animation, we already see it. So I just don't think there's enough reason to justify its existence.
100%.
If it's a shot for a remake or a change.
I mean, 100%. It's just money. It's got to be just money.
It's got to just be money. Something original is more risky. So
but so one of the things that I will see as a possible problem for How to Train Your Dragon live action is it's not going to hit it will definitely not hit $1 billion because people are going to go see it, and then I think they're going to want to go watch the original stuff.
I agree.
And then they're just going to stay home for that and not go back after they've seen the movie and go home and watch the original stuff. They're not going to go back and see the movie again. And
it's not going to have a whole lot of replayability. Just like the other Disney live action, even the $1 billion Disney live actions, no one rewatches those. They go watch the animated.
The international that carries that stuff a lot of the time. So it's going to make its money most likely $650, somewhere $650. It's already probably bought itself the sequel, and then we'll see if it can get to the third one. But the bottom line, as you guys said, this was the best of all possible results for a situation like this. It's not an abomination, but from our opinion here on this panel, on the show, it still doesn't justify its existence because
not for 1 second.
At least
Not for one
not for
second.
somebody who is a fan of this franchise for years. I agree. Just thanks for watching, everyone. If you enjoyed the video, hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, check out my gaming channel at Renaissance Nerd Arcade, and follow me on X Twitter under @TheRedNerd. Thanks again for watching. Take it easy.